In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Lars and the Real Girl, while I do some basic resource gathering for future projects. Spoilers ahead. Those that know me know that Ryan Gosling is my favorite actor. I love Drive, Crazy Stupid Love, The Nice Guys, and Barbie. Those movies are great, but his older films really show you what he's capable of. The Believer, Half Nelson, and Lars and the Real Girl are what got me hooked on Ryan. They are simple films really, they have simple plots with basic shots, but they have so much heart. And to an extent, you can lose a lot of heart and passion when big budgets are involved. But I've noticed that even with big budgets, Ryan Gosling will always do his best to be the best. He was my favorite part of The Gray Man and Barbie, both of which were big budget behemoths that fell a little short in my eyes. But long before the big budgets and grandeur, Ryan was in a movie called Lars and the Real Girl. This movie, I think, is Ryan Gosling at his best. He acts to Lars' character beautifully, displaying the perfect charm and kindness, while also displaying sadness and pain without being overbearing. The plot is a little silly, but director Craig Gillespie knew how to pull it all together and make it extremely heartfelt. I went into this movie thinking it was going to be a fun time with lots of laughter, which it was, but I was unexpectedly crying for a bit of the runtime. Lars is an awkward guy. He finds it hard to talk to his own brother Gus and his sister-in-law Karen. When he's at work, he focuses on his job, getting coffee to avoid people. When he's at church, he sits distance from others. Lars doesn't come off as cold, though. He's actually a very sweet young man. When Karen is cold outside, Lars lends her his blanket to make it back to the house okay. He never gets angry and never raises his voice. People are nice to him, and though he may not have a lot of close friends, the people in this small town care about him. Lars' awkwardness leads to people to misunderstanding and misreading him. Before I dive deeper, I want to preface by saying I am not a medical professional. I'm just a guy that loves movies, so what I say may not be fact. I base my opinions on personal experiences and things I've heard over the years. Lars is a very traumatized man. His mother died while giving birth to him, and his father never emotionally healed from it. Lars' brother Gus left home as soon as he could, not giving a second thought about Lars. When Gus came home, now married to Karen, he lives in the house, pushing Lars out into the garage. I think because Lars never had anyone to talk to about how he felt, he took it out on himself. He never knew how to love because he was never loved. But he's great at showing kindness and heart because it's how he wants to be treated, and sadly, he never gets that. This is where Bianca comes into play. Obviously, people will take her at face value. She's a life-size doll for adults. Lars hears about her from a coworker who would use her for her intended purpose. But Lars has no inappropriate intentions with Bianca. Lars now has the girlfriend everyone told him he should get. Bianca is kind and caring. She's religious and helps out around town where she can. She's not a picky eater and doesn't really care for fashion or material things, but will dress nice on occasion. Bianca's mom died at birth and her father shortly after. She's finally getting to experience the world because she was kept down by nuns this whole time. Does any of this sound familiar? It should, because it's Lars. Lars copes with life through Bianca. He finally has someone to show his favorite spot in the woods. He finally has someone to play Scrabble with. He has someone to love. But there's only so much you can do with a doll. Bianca had to be temporary or things could have been the same for eternity. I think two things needed to happen for Lars to get over his delusion. One, he needed someone to open up to and provide comfort. And two, he needed an awakening that there are people that care about him, that there always has been and always will be. Lars may not realize it, but Dr. Dagmar was a huge help. She found similarities between Lars and his girlfriend and used them to identify his wants and needs. She helped him be comfortable in sharing how he felt and was there to help him calm down when he got stressed out. She helped quiet his fears of losing Karen. He didn't want to lose her when the baby was born. Dagmar helps Lars realize that his situation with his mom was rare and that Karen will likely be alright. Dagmar was there to listen to Lars. She was there to comfort him. She was there to help him heal by asking the community to accommodate Lars and Bianca. But all of the opening up would have been for nothing if Lars didn't realize that he had people in his life that cared, which leads me to my second point. Lars needed to open his eyes and see that there always has been and always will be people that care about him. It may be true at the beginning of his life that no one listened to him. His brother left home without thinking about Lars, and his dad was too emotionally injured to realize that his son may have been hurting. But after a while, Lars probably shut himself off. He was so busy with being sad and sulking in his own misery that he forgot to realize that things change and people do love him. He never realized that people cared until the wood chopping scene with Karen.
They don't care. Lars, we do care. Because all these people love you.
That scene was his awakening, and you can see in Ryan Gosling's face throughout. He realized that people did care about him and how he felt. Now that people were listening to his cries for help, he no longer needed Bianca. But to an extent, this journey was just the beginning. Lars still had a long road ahead of him. He had begun to heal his past, but no one wants to be lonely forever. And now that Bianca was gone, he needed someone to fill her shoes. Margot is another kind soul overlooked by her peers and has a few keepsakes from her past. She also gets lonely and started dating a dude she didn't really like just because it was better than being alone.
I get lonely.
All these characteristics Margot and Lars have in common. Truthfully, I think Lars and Margot have always liked each other. It just took a bit of a bump to come together. That bump may have been bullying, which they had a lot of fun doing, even though she's a pro and he's terrible. It seems by the end of the film they will be a great couple, but I think for that to happen, Lars will have to learn that his girlfriends have a life of their own, and that they don't have to play Scrabble with him every second of the day.
We're gonna play Scrabble. I get excited about playing Scrabble.
I also really like the portrayal of how different people react to mental and physical illness. Some, like Miss Gruner, are willing to help right off the bat. Some, like Karen, are willing to help, and even though they don't quite know how, are willing to give it their all. And others are like Reverend Bach and Gus. They say absolutely no way will I humiliate myself for this person. They dig their feet in selfishly. Maybe they warm up to the idea of helping, maybe they don't. A lot of background characters don't understand the gravity of the situation and likely never will, but are willing to play along because they love Lars and their community. Which begs the question, how different would this movie be if they were in, per se, I don't know, New York City? That's what I love about this movie. It appears to be hilarious, which it is, but under the surface it's a rich story about a small town coming together to help out a man overcome his trauma. Isn't that so wholesome? The movie ended with my eyes filled with tears, and me holding back laughter. In a world of massive blockbusters and sequels, it was so refreshing to watch this gem of a film. This original concept that seems so goofy and outlandish, but ends up bringing tears to your eyes and a smile to your face. Something that definitely influences the feelings in this movie is the score. David Torn writes a very simple score that is very effective. The melancholy whistle dots the movie, but it's ultimately followed up by a happy-go-lucky guitar solo. I like this because, like life, it's full of ups and downs, but mostly ups. All of this culminating to the perfect background music for a little snowy town. That sums up my thoughts on Lars and the Real Girl. If you enjoyed today's video, I ask you drop a like and share with your fellow movie lovers. And if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it and see what you think. Your own opinion will always sometimes be more important than mine. Next week's video is going to be a Wallace and Gromit rapid review, so subscribe so you don't miss out on that.
Yeah, okay. Bye.